This is Story Recapped. Today I'm going to explain a drama, sci-fi, and thriller film called In Control. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. On an empty road, Marissa desperately calls her friends for help. However, all her calls go to voicemail. She drives her car down the road while still trying to contact anyone she can. While sending a text message, she fails to notice a parked tractor. Her car collides with the tractor and crashes on the road. Samantha jogs around campus early in the morning. At home, she prepares to leave while her mother, Colleen, watches TV. As she's heading out the door, she finds overdue notices. Later, she attends a class that discusses how social media has removed the idea of privacy among the younger generation. This has convinced people to film every human experience without concern for those being filmed. Her professor stresses that the reasons behind our actions are more important than how we do them. He then advises his students to reduce providing answers in their essays, but instead focus on asking more questions. After class, Samantha receives a C- on her paper, much to her disappointment. Over the next few days, she goes through her daily routine, feeling alone and unenthused. One day, a customer at the cafe she works in requests peanut brittle. Due to Samantha's allergies, she asks her manager, Naomi, to fetch them. Her friend, Mark, visits her to help her write the essay. Samantha rants that her professor dislikes her logical approach and prefers personal stories. She chose the panopticon theory as her topic, which dabbles on the idea that people behave differently when they believe they're being watched. Mark then asks her what she would do if no one were watching her. That evening, Mark calls Samantha and invites her to his friend's apartment. There, she meets Jenny and Victor. They then take Samantha into a room where they find Jenny unmoving while hooked up to a device. Mark explains that they found the device from the university. The device allows them to go into another person's mind. Suddenly, Samantha steps forward and writes a note claiming that she's Jenny. She picks up the note, then snaps out of a trance, stunned by what she's written. Jenny had taken control of her mind momentarily to prove it works. Mark explains that they take a ride on somebody's mind to help them understand the person. They don't manipulate the person, but simply observe how they're feeling. The device, however, doesn't allow them to look into the person's memory. The group helps Samantha try out the device. Hesitantly, she activates it and finds herself in the body of a younger girl having dinner with her parents. Immediately, Samantha removes herself from her body. Before using the device further, Mark advises her not to do anything the real person wouldn't do. The person would be convinced that they are making the decisions despite being in their control, but those around them would notice anything out of character. He also stresses to avoid controlling anyone she knows. The device is limited by distance, so they can only enter the mind of someone nearby or in town. Using the device to enter people's minds sparks inspiration in Samantha. She rewrites her essay and even uses someone else's body to eat peanut butter. However, she also grows curious about Mark and his girlfriend Marissa. A classmate Samantha doesn't recognize approaches her and invites her to a party, which Samantha awkwardly accepts. She suspects that Jenny is controlling the woman, but the woman coyly smiles at her in response. At home, Colleen asks Samantha to watch a movie with her, but she's already heading out to meet with her friends. This makes Colleen curious about her new friends. Later, the group connects to the device to ride on the minds of wealthy college students at a house party. During the party, they have fun with recreational substances and physical pleasures. Afterward, they head out to a bar to drink. Hours later, Samantha disconnects from the device and feels the effects of leaving her mind for too long. The others remind her to return to her body occasionally to drink some water and eat. When Samantha returns home, she finds her mother crying over having no more milk in the fridge. She comforts her mother as she cries. The next day, Samantha shares her guilt over invading people's minds. Mark assures her that what they did the night before isn't something new to the people they hijacked their minds of. One day, the group goes into a different apartment where Jenny and Victor search for something. Once Jenny finds an envelope, they rush out. While working at the cafe, Naomi tells Samantha that she's going to give her a raise, much to her confusion. In class, Samantha also receives an A on her essay. One night, while in control of a group of friends, Victor robs someone from a convenience store. Mark is pissed at Victor's actions, but Victor just jokes about it. They then go to the group's friend's house where they are invited to partake in recreational substances. Samantha hesitates, so she leaves the body to think things through. When she wakes up, however, she finds that Mark is missing. She searches for him and calls his phone, but it goes to voicemail. The following day, Samantha's class discusses how lack of freedom fuels addiction. With this thought, Samantha reconsiders continuing with their peculiar hobby. When Mark finally calls her, he shares that he went to Merryweather to escape the device. Samantha joins him and asks why he shared his secret with her and not his girlfriend, so Mark explains that he doesn't think Marissa would like it. Samantha then asks if he trusts Victor, believing that he is dangerous. Mark defends that Victor got better since using the device. Samantha then wonders how Jenny affords her apartment, thinking that she's using her device to her advantage. Mark doesn't deny this, but says whatever reason Jenny and Victor use the device is their own business. When asked what he uses the device for, Mark answers that it helps him figure out who he is. Later, Marissa arrives to pick Mark up. Marissa offers Samantha a ride, but she refuses, claiming that her car is around the corner. Samantha goes to Jenny's apartment alone, all while thinking Mark is spending time with Marissa. She plugs herself into the device and loses herself momentarily. In the university, Samantha goes to someone's locker and takes an envelope full of money. Later, Naomi calls her as she's late for work. Naomi ends up covering her shift for the rest of the day. Naomi leaves a voicemail for Samantha that night, giving her permission to take the week off. After she hangs up the phone, Naomi looks confused as what she said. The following day, Samantha finds their fridge empty, but her mother is passive about it. Frustrated over her mother's irresponsibility, she packs a bag to leave. Colleen begs her not to leave, but Samantha does anyway. Samantha drives up to Jenny's to stay there for a while. Later, Colleen suddenly turns off her TV and gets dressed up before leaving the house. Samantha wakes up after going into the device, seeing that Jenny left her some food. Days later, Jenny finds Samantha slumped on the couch, having skipped class. Later, they use the device to attend another party using the wealthy students. Samantha is disappointed that the students that Jenny and Mark are using aren't around. She then unhooks herself from the device and sees Mark still with them. With an idea in mind, Samantha goes back into the device. She enters Marissa's mind and studies the woman's body. Later, she sees Marissa's mother and sees how affluent her life is. She then reads Mark's text conversations with his girlfriend. When Samantha wakes up, she finds Jenny trying to help Victor, who's hyperventilating while still in the device. They can't forcibly wake him up, so Mark is still connected to the student in the party trying to help the body that Victor's in. Samantha goes back in and sees the party in chaos. She walks around and sees that the kid that Victor's in got stabbed. However, Victor isn't able to leave the body. Moments later, the kid stops breathing. Samantha disconnects from the device and sees Victor, finally awake but in shock. He gets up to leave, but Samantha stops him to ask what happened. Victor turns on her and demands who she is, questioning why Mark brought her to them. He then storms out without an explanation. One day, Marissa goes for a drive with Mark. Sensing something strange with her, Mark calls Samantha's phone, but she doesn't answer. He then suggests on heading out of town, but Marissa insists not to. Mark, however, drives further away. Moments later, Samantha wakes up, finding Jenny watching her use the device. After days of being away from them, Mark finds Samantha after learning that she quit her job. He invites her to go into the device again, and she reluctantly agrees. While driving back to Jenny, Samantha spots Victor walking with a student Mark hijacked during the parties. Later, she enters Marissa's mind again, and when she disconnects, Jenny invites her to hang out. Samantha, however, refuses. Later that day, Mark finds Victor in the docks prepping a boat to leave town. Victor blames him for what happened to the kid who got stabbed at the party. He's also questioning how he got the device in the first place, recounting how nobody even stopped him when he took it. Victor wants to leave town to make sure that he can think for himself again, doubting his own thoughts. When Mark insists that he join the group again, Victor even questions Mark's actions. Victor rants how he barely knew him or Jenny before they started using the device. Then he questions how Mark knew Samantha and berates him since they already used the device to help him be with Marissa, but Mark insists that Samantha is just a friend. Victor stresses that they should leave to put their minds back together, but Mark refuses, even promising to get Victor a bigger house using the device. Still, Victor refuses, calling the device evil. When he turns back to Mark, he's met with a knife to his stomach. Mark watches him bleed, admitting that they didn't really like Victor. Meanwhile, Jenny nervously paces around her apartment. Soon, Mark arrives with a package and tells her that Victor tried to sail away from them. Jenny comments that the others won't be happy. She tells him that Samantha uses the device too often to control Marissa. Mark is surprised that Victor suspected Samantha, and now she's addicted to the device. Mark then takes a gun and heads to the room to watch Samantha still in the device. He and Jenny discuss how these intelligent college students end up easily falling for their tricks. Jenny defends that she thought Samantha had potential, given that she kept her job longer than expected. Mark shrugs it off and aims the gun at Samantha. However, he hesitates, so Jenny takes the gun and shoots without blinking. After ending Samantha, Jenny asks about the MRI results, and Mark reports that they have detected lower serotonin levels and growth in the frontal cortex. Jenny then leaves to finish their experiments while Mark cleans up. After removing all the experiment's traces, Jenny invites Mark to coffee, commenting on how the girl she's in is fighting her. When he agrees, the woman controlling Jenny disconnects, and Mark shoots the real Jenny in the chest. To eliminate all witnesses to their experiment, the man controlling Mark pours water into a glass and takes a handful of pills. He hesitates in front of a mirror before drinking. Then, he sits on the couch and waits for the effects. Days later, Marissa wakes up in the hospital. The nurse recounts how she was in a car accident and is recovering from multiple injuries. Weeks later, Marissa is released and returns to her home. She heads to her room and checks on her phone, seeing that Mark hasn't responded to her. Weeks later, she returns to the university but decides to switch degrees. After seeing the doctor for a routine checkup, she spots Colleen, who's now working as a receptionist in the hospital. At a party, Marissa talks to a friend about Mark's incident, which happened the same day as her car accident. Months later, Marissa fully recovers from her injuries and goes to a cafe where Samantha worked before. Samantha, who's now stuck in Marissa's body, enjoys her new life and heads home to eat peanut butter.
This is all for Story Recapped for today. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Tell us in the comments if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Watch other of our videos showing on the screen and leave a like because it helps the channel. And I would see you in the next video. Goodbye.